What up, what up? You already know this is Punch, Drunk, Boxing, a.k.a. Mr. Shine himself, a.k.a. El Adobo, el Sazón, el Borracho, el Pastor de Boxeo, mi gente. It was a great night of boxing yesterday. It was a full day of boxing. Started out there in the UK. Shout out to Ben Whitaker, the Cassius Clay of the UK. The Surgeon, Benzo, doing his thing. Masterclass performance versus the African King. Great performance by Ben Whitaker, one of the most exciting fighter in the sport of boxing, the phenom in the light heavyweight division. And like I said, man, I believe that it's gonna be a future showdown between Ben Whitaker versus David Benavidez, who also performed in the light heavyweight division for the first time legitly, versus Alexander Gvozdyk. And let me say it like this: David Benavidez, they look like a monster. He looked like a great fighter of this era, looked like an elite fighter, but did not look like the monster. We probably gonna have to name him La Bandera Roja again, because I'm saying like this: when David Benavidez faced somebody in the prime in his own size, even when he faced Caleb Plant, he didn't look like a monster versus Caleb Plant in the 168-pound division. And yes, he looked good and looked strong versus Demetrius Andre, the two-division world champion Olympian. But we all know that Demetrius Andre is not a real super middleweight fighter. You know what I'm saying? He just stepped up in the super middleweight this past year, on the verge of facing David Benavidez. And of course, every time David Benavidez is going to be fighting, we're going to be talking about, wow, if he could perform like that versus Canelo Alvarez, who is the 4-division world champion, super middleweight undisputed, King Nello, a.k.a. Cartelo, a.k.a. Cash Nello, a.k.a. Payday, a.k.a. get the fuck out of here. Man, we always going to gauge it, because in the sport of boxing, the boxing fans want to see the primary fight in the sport of boxing, and that's Canelo Alvarez versus David Benavidez. But David Benavidez came with a victory last night versus Alexandre, and it was a competitive matchup. In the beginning, David Benavidez was hitting him with everything in the kitchen sink, but he couldn't get him out of there, and found out that, 175 is a whole different type of world. David Benavidez actually looked like the smaller guy in the ring, right? And now I understand why several years ago, when David Benavidez did, when he got stripped, the last time he got stripped of his WBC title because he came in overweight, the WBC, Mauricio Sudamon, placed him as the #1 mandatory challenger to Artur Beterbiev at 175, right? But then Samson Likowitz, who is David Benavidez' promoter, sent a letter to the WBC and, gave him thanks to rank him in the 175. But, of course, they paraphrased and they was not ready for the 175-pound division, especially Artur Beterbiev, the Terminator, and, wrote a letter for them to be re-ranked in 168, and they fought an elimination bout, not a final elimination bout, so they could get closer to that Canelo Alvarez fight that never came through fruition. And we don't know if that fight ever will come through fruition. But he fought in the co-main event of Gervonta Davis versus Frank Martin. But before we get into that, let's go a little bit back. Before the David Benavidez versus Alexander fight, Gary Antoine Russell laid an egg. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of fighters that laid an egg yesterday. Gary Antoine Russell was supposed to be one of the phenom in the 140-pound division, the guy that was supposed to be ringing bells, the guy that would give a lot of people challenges, an Olympian who he beat Jerome Bruce Ennis, the phenom in the 147 pounds division. You know what I'm saying? One of the most exciting fighter in the sport of boxing. He beat him in the amateurs, had his number in the amateurs, but as we all know, sometimes what you do in the amateur doesn't translate to the pros. And sometimes what you do in the amateurs does translate to the pros. Sometimes it don't work like that, sometimes it does. But for Gary Antoine Russell, he laid an egg, and I was actually surprised that he lost to Alberto Puello, el Dominicano, el Platanero, el Manguco, los tres golpes. Hey, I'm gonna tell you like this, man. Dominicans had a field day yesterday. Alfredo Santiago won yesterday. Carlos Adames in the middleweight division retained his WBC title, in which he got when he got elevated after they stripped Jamal Charlo after his DWI charge. Carlos Adames showed out. Great. He looked sharp yesterday. He won. He won his matchup. Another Dominican win. Y'all already know that David Benavidez got a Dominican number too. All right? So it was a field day for Dominican fighters. Right? Alberto Puello won, Carlos Adames won, Alfredo Santiago won, and yes, David Benavidez won. David Benavidez is Mexican and half Ecuadorian, half Dominican. Yes, his mother is half Ecuadorian, half Dominican. I don't understand why David Benavidez don't want to show us love. I don't understand that. But I got to talk to David Benavidez. Maybe he don't chill on the East Coast. If he was chilling out here in the East Coast in Harlem, Wash Heights, New York City, where the Dominicans, the Dominicans and Puerto Ricans is like the major, and Cubans are the major, Latino population in the East Coast. There's not a lot of Dominicans out there in the West Coast, so I don't even think that he identified with us. That's why. But if he was from the East Coast, I got to invite David Benavidez to Washington Heights, Dykeman, or something like that. Let's go. Wow, you like little drinky drink? Huh? Man. Smack him with a bottle of Brugal. He'll wake up. But yeah, man, shout out to Dominican. Dominican boxing is at its best right now. Shout out to all the fighters and the fighters that's coming up. Shout out to Henry Cedeño, La Bazooka Martinez. Shout out to his brother Eury. They're gonna be performing the top ranked card as well. It's gonna be a good. It's gonna be a good showing. It's gonna be a good showing for Dominican boxing. Subriel Matias. Ay, Dios mío. Subriel Matias in the 140-pound division laid an egg. But let me say this about the 140-pound division before we get into the Subriel Matias thing, because I got a lot of flack. I had a lot of people coming up Punch Run Boxing, the YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, damn it, subscribe to the YouTube channel. But a newfound fan just came out of nowhere with Subriel Matias in several months. Never heard of a fan base just a year ago. But as soon as we started talking about a potential unification bout between Teofimo Lopez and Subriel Matias, it was like, oh, Subriel Matias is the guy. Subriel Matias is the man. Subriel Matias is El Monstruo. Subriel Matias is the killer. He's going to kill everybody in 140. He's going to kill Teo. Going to kill Haney. Going to kill Ryan. Going to kill everybody. I'm like, wait. Subriel Matias hasn't fought nobody. If you fought that Subriel Matias fought an elite fighter, man, if you think that Subriel Matias fought an elite fighter, you's a liar. If you felt that Subriel Matias fought a pound-for-pound fighter, you's a liar. If you felt that Subriel Matias is the best 140-pounder, you's a liar. He ain't never fought a gatekeeper. You's a liar. Did he fight? Come on, man, he ain't fight nobody. So why you gonna be like he the best? We all know that Teofimo Lopez is the lineal champion, being Josh Taylor. We already know that Teofimo Lopez is the captain of the generation, the commander-in-chief. We know that. We know that he ain't beat Richard Comey when Richard Comey was the respectable champion, and then followed up with beating Vasily Lomachenko, the guy that was regarded pound for pound, 1, 2, 3. You can flip it around, huh? And then he went up. Yeah, he took a little bit of a hiccup. Yeah, there was a hiccup versus George Kambosos, but in the championship rounds, he did put down George Kambosos, right? What happened to the myth of you got to take it from a champion to be the champion? Oh, it didn't work with Teofimo Lopez. But don't worry, you know what I'm saying? He got that L. He got that hiccup just like every other great fighter in the sport of boxing. All right? Not everybody is undefeated like Floyd Mayweather. And you don't remember Roberto Duran did lost to De Jesus before Sugar Ray Leonard. We seen Juan Manuel Marquez. He did lost early in his career. We seen Bernard Hopkins lost early in his career. We seen Manny Pacquiao, the 8-division world champion, 5-time lineal, 12-time war champion, the ambassador, the senator, the humanitarian, the greatest karaoke singer of them all. The GOAT, Manny Pacquiao lost twice, got knocked out early in his career, but still became all of that. Sugar Ray Robinson lost early in his career, but then came out and won, what was it, 81 straight fights? So stop being a bougie fan out there, folks. Stop being bougie. He lost to Jackson Belson. But anyway, after that, Teofimo Lopez went to the 140-pound division, beat Sandor Martin. Sandor Martin then retired Mikey Garcia, who was the 4th-division world champion. And then he beat Josh Taylor, who was the reigning undisputed champion, the lineal champion. And Teofimo Lopez took him out like he was in another level. So please don't compare, all right? But the people were saying that Matias was better than that? You telling me that this man, Teofimo Lopez, proved everything to you, and you gonna come out your mouth, out your face, out your booty, and say that Subriel Matias is the king, is the best at 140? You must be goddamn out your mind. You's a liar. He ain't better than nobody. He got exposed yesterday, and I feel sorry for the Puerto Rican fans. I feel sorry for the Puerto Rican fan base because we've been waiting for who's going to be the next Puerto Rican superstar. Who's going to be the next Tito Trinidad? Who's going to be the next Miguel Cotto? Who's going to be the next Tito Trinidad? Who's going to be the next Hector Camacho? Who's going to be the next Wilfred Benitez? Who will be the next? Who will be the next? He will be the next. He will be the next. And then after the fight with Subriel Matias, all I heard from the community, from the new base community, the fake fans of Subriel Matias, damn it, I ain't hear nothing. I didn't hear nothing. And I want to know where the hell were y'all when I was calling y'all out during the live show? Where were y'all? Hediondo. Toditos son. Porque they didn't come to Punta Troqueo Boxeo, but y'all was hating on me. Because y'all didn't want to face the truth. All I was trying to tell y'all is the truth. That's a Subriel. It's straight up and down, no special effects, just like Flo Mayweather thought about Triple G. That Subriel Matias, he don't fight with his mind. That he's one of the when it comes to IQ, he's one of the dumbest fighters when it comes to IQ. But he got balls of steels. You know what I'm saying? He got the testicular fortitude and mental fortitude. He's going to keep on coming. Pause. He's going to keep on striving. He's going to keep on approaching. He's going to keep on trying to get the knockout, but he doesn't fight with his mind. He's a human punching bag, and that's what I've been telling y'all since day one, that a guy like Teofimo Lopez in the skill set, he won't lose to a guy like Subriel Matias. How dare you thought that Subriel Matias could beat Teofimo Lopez? You's a liar! Now you all quiet. Now you all quiet. But it's all right. It's all right. Puerto Rico still got their star. Puerto Rico still got the number one that's holding Puerto Rican down, and that's Amanda Serrano, the 7th Division World Champion. Undisputed, going to be facing Katie Taylor for the second time, the rematch, in which I feel she beat Katie Taylor. But in Madison Square Garden, one of the most electric nights I ever been in any event. And now you already know they're going to be in the co-main event of Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul in November. Thanksgiving is coming real soon. Shout out to Amanda Serrano. Shout out to Katie Taylor. Shout out to Mike Tyson. Shout out to Jake Paul. And also gonna be performing another Dominican fighter. Shout out to Kid Austin. Kid Austin gonna be fighting H2O. They postponed it, but I think that he's gonna be fighting a tune-up first and then go in November and do what he gotta do. Shout out to everybody. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, Punch Wrong Boxing, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast, share the podcast. Share the website, punchwrongboxing.com. We lit out here, baby. That's the most electrifying voice in the sport of boxing, Mr. Moo. Shine himself. And of course, I said the 140-pound division, it was a landmine. I don't want people to just throw people in the trash. Devin Haney lost to Ryan Garcia. Subriel Matias lost to Liam Paru. Josh Taylor lost to Jack Catterall. Gary Russell Jr., Gary Antoine Russell lost to Alberto Puello. Anybody can get it in the 140-pound division. A lot of people thought that Regis Prograis lost before he faced Devin Haney. A lot of people feel like Richard Hitchens lost in his last outing. A lot of people didn't like the way that Brandon Lee performed versus Pedro Compa. Michel Rivera beat Sergey Lipinyak, came to the 140-pound division. Elvis Rodriguez going to be making his mark in the 140-pound division. Teofimo Lopez still the king. But you know what? He's going to be fighting June 29th versus Steve Claggett. Steve Claggett ain't no pushover. Steve Claggett got nothing to lose. And sometimes the most dangerous fighter and the most dangerous person in the world is the guy that got nothing to lose and everything to gain. So a lot of people feel like, hey, yo, Teofimo Lopez Teofimo Lopez performs to the level of his competition. Do not write off Steve Claggett. Teofimo Lopez supposed to beat Steve Claggett. Teofimo Lopez supposed to let the takeover. Teofimo Lopez, the two-time millennial that's supposed to be recognized, should be recognized if it wasn't for the politics of the sport of boxing, the 2-division undisputed champion of the world. But you already know, I know the politics. I recognize the politics, so I can identify the truth. And I identify the truth. Teofimo Lopez is the guy. But the job ain't done. He got to erase the reputation, whether it's wrong, whether it's right, whether it's unfortunate, whether it's true, whether it's fake, whether it's perception, whether it's illusion. He got to erase that perception that he fights or performs to the level of his competition. Because right now, the 140-pound division, we don't know who's going to win or lose. We don't know if the best is going to show up. I still believe that the biggest fight for Teofimo Lopez and the biggest threat to Gervonta Davis is Teofimo Lopez. And the biggest threat to Teofimo Lopez is Gervonta Davis. Not talking about Gervonta Not talking about Gervonta Davis and his performance versus Frank Martin. That was the main event at Prime, Amazon Prime. Shout out to TGB, PBC, Al Haymon. One thing about Gervonta Davis is that there are people out there that's frustrated the way the career has ended up. Even though that you gotta be honest, Mayweather Promotion has done a wonderful job at making him a international superstar. Gervonta Davis, whether you like who they put in front of him, whether you think that they elite or not, even if they're not elite, Gervonta Davis is actually doing the job. Gervonta Davis is performing to the level of his expectations. Gervonta Davis is satisfying the paying customer. Gervonta Davis is satisfying the networks. Gervonta Davis is satisfying the powers that be. Gervonta Davis is arguably the face of boxing of this side of the pond. Of course, a lot of people are going to be there, but what about Canelo? What about Canelo? Ponce Tronqueo Boxeo. I'm going to tell you like this. Gervonta Davis got more mega fights lined up than right now than Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez, what are we talking about? Is that David Benavidez, what, Edgar Berlanga? And just because they mentioned Edgar Berlanga, because they will try to promote this Mexican versus Puerto Rican, but Edgar Berlanga is not that guy yet. He's another one that haven't faced a champion as well. So they're going to try to promote this thing. And look, Canelo Alvarez's number is declining. I thought that him and Jaime Munguia was going to do great. But the thing, Jaime Munguia haven't really made his mark like that. You understand what I'm saying? But a Tank versus Shakur, a Tank versus Teo, a Tank versus rematch with Ryan Garcia, a Tank versus a rematch with Pitbull Cruz, a Tank versus Devin Haney. You know what I'm saying? He got a lot of potential lined up fights that's going to have people anticipating for a bigger fight. Pause. Gervonta Davis is performing the way that he's supposed to perform, whether there's an elite fighter he's facing or not. And if he is facing guys that's lower levels from him, he's still showing out and actually letting everybody know that this guy is not on my level. See, that's the only difference between, let's say, a Tank and a Teo. Because Teo's supposed to be doing with the lower level that we think that they're in lower level. Teofimo Lopez already spoiled us. That's what it is. See, Tank really haven't spoiled us with fighting the best fighters. Teo did. So when we see Teo perform the way that he knocked out Richard Comey, a champion, when he became champion in 15 fights or 14 fights, that's the expectation. Then he performed back-to-back with Vasyl Lomachenko. That's the expectation. And then he fought Jose Camboso, but he was sick. We understand that, right? And then he performed the way he performed Pedro Compa, but we already know he was going to perform that. See, the way that he performed versus Pedro Compa, who was levels below him, that's the way that he got to keep performing. Got to show wow, got to show, be the takeover. And then versus Sando Martin, performed to the level of his competition. And then he fought Josh Taylor. Boom, he fought to the people that believed that he was going to be fighting. He went back to the takeover, and that was the best performance, even the better performance that he did with Vasyl Lomachenko. And then he fought Jermaine Ortiz and then level to the performance, even though that Jermaine Ortiz was running like a and if you don't think that Jermaine Ortiz was running like it was running in a Boston Marathon, you's a liar. If you thought that Teofimo Lopez lost to Jermaine Ortiz, you's a liar. If you thought that Teofimo Lopez lost to Sando Martin, you's a liar. Now, if you're going to tell me that he ain't performed to the level of his expectations and your expectation, then I understand. But I ain't going to give nobody a victory for running like a bird. But difference between both of them is that Gervonta Davis cleans out the guy that he needs to clean out, whether they his levels or not. And Teo needs to do the same thing. And I believe in June 29th, if Teofimo Lopez clears the clock of Steve Claggett, we're going to be talking about that's the premier fight in the sport of boxing. I still like a Teo versus Ryan because it's like I said on my live show yesterday. Gervonta Davis and Teofimo Lopez got something that you just don't teach in the gym. They're triple threat fighters in terms of skill set, and they got a lot of layers. They could box and they could brawl and they could fight. When you face the best fighting the best, there's gonna be a time when you're gonna have to fight. There's gonna be a time when the fight is gonna break loose. And the thing about Tank and the thing about Teo is both of these guys are gifted with speed, power, and athleticism. Sometimes God give you the speed. Sometimes he give you just the power. Sometimes he give you the speed and power. But these guys got the speed, power, athleticism. They in the family, if there was like a family, like a group, like a group family of skill set and stuff like that, they in the family of the Roy Jones Jr. Speed, power, athleticism. They in that bracket. I'm not saying that they Roy Jones Jr. I'm saying that they in that bracket. Boots Ennis in that bracket, right? They in that family. Speed, power, athleticism. They in that bracket, right? The IQ as well. I think that Gervonta Davis is got an underrated IQ, right? But we haven't seen it versus the elite in their prime. In their prime. Yes, Gervonta Davis' resume has aged well with beating Mario Barrios, right? And then later on, Mario Barrios beat Yordenis Ugas, who retired the old Manny Pacquiao in 11 days notice, right? But he beat Yordenis Ugas. That made Gervonta Davis' resume age well. Pitbull Cruz beat Rolly. Well, Tank beat both Rolly and Pitbull, right? I know a lot of people didn't respect. Hold on, folks. I know a lot of people didn't respect the victory of Rolly. You know what I'm saying? That's a political champion. That was a political belt holder right there. Who else? Mario Barrios that aged well. The Pitbull Cruz aged well. Which one also aged well for Tank? And Ryan Garcia beating Devin Haney, that aged well, right? You know, but he didn't fight and beat these guys when these guys were looked as the elite. They got their good wins after. You know what I'm saying? But Tank did pretty well. Frank Martin fought very, very scared, bro. He fought very, very scared at one point. You know what I'm saying? Even though that I knew that Frank Martin was not going to do nothing to Gervonta Davis, I didn't even have to do a major breakdown. This was the easy breakdown. I said it before. Frank Martin never was a real lightweight. I said this months prior. I said that Frank Martin, his whole amateur career was at 140 pounds. He's 29 years old. His 18 fights in the professional level, 80% of those was above the 135-pound limit. Several of them was above the 140-pound limit. He only had 3 to 4. He only had 4 real 135-pound fights, and 3 out of the 4 he won by decision. Meaning he looked like a ghost in the lightweight division because he was a ghost in the lightweight in terms of he wasn't that guy. He wasn't the same. He was drained. And that's no excuse. But me doing the assessment and the breakdown, I already knew that he got nothing for Tank. Nothing for Tank. And he looked like Michael Jackson Thriller in the weigh-in too. It's just a thriller. I thought that Frank Martin was gonna be dancing Thriller. That's how much he looked like Michael Jackson in Thriller. It's just a thriller night. Ain't no man gonna scream with a phone thing with a phone eyes, girl. Thriller, thriller night. See, like Michael Jackson be writing music when he was taking the shit, right? That's how Michael Jackson be sounding. He's the best. He's the king. He's the king of pop. But like Michael Jackson be when he was writing his music, he was taking the dump. He like, un mojón está saliendo. Oh man, but it was a good night of boxing, and now where we going? What as us boxing fans? What's next for all of them? What's next for Subriel Matias? Just signed a matchroom deal, so I don't know. He should have took that Teofimo Lopez fight on February 8th for in the Super Bowl week. And at least if he would have lost to Teofimo Lopez, you would have lost to somebody highly respectable right after the Josh Taylor fight. And he sent you a contract, and he was not ready. La mano, he was not ready. But what's next now? What's next out for Subriel Matias? I didn't like the way he was sounding in the post-fight interview. Talking about that when they asked him what was the game plan coming into the fight with Liam Pyro, he's like, yo no tengo no plan. I don't have no plan, okay? I do fight and I fight. I don't give it a damn what my corner say. Like, que me importa? I fight the way that I fight and I do what I do. That's why he's a human punching bag. But I think a fight with Henry Regis Pro Grace. You know, both coming up from a loss, both from matchroom boxing. And I think the matchroom is going to be putting Liam Pyro versus Jack Catterall, who just beat Josh Taylor. And I think that's the title fight that Eddie Hearn was going to promise him. They called out Teofimo Lopez, but that's not going to happen. It's an easy in-house championship fight where Matchroom still wins and Eddie Hearn still win, depending on the winner and the loser and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be Jack Catterall versus Liam Paru. And then I think it's going to be Regis Prograis versus Subriel Matias. I think that'll be an entertaining fight with both of the guys' skill set, and they both got something to prove, right? Trying to get back into the winning column. I think that Devin Haney is going to be facing Sandor Martin. And like I told y'all before, I said the 140-pound division is a landmine. Anybody can get it. And it's looking like that. And we're not going to throw these fighters under the table or anything of that nature. You know, we're going to say that the 140-pound division is one of the most stacked divisions in the sport of boxing. Let's keep that same energy. Meaning that it's stacked. When we say that it's stacked, it means that it's competitive from 1 through 10. And anybody could get it, right? So I think I think it's going to be Sandor Martin versus Devin Haney in the 140-pound division the next. I think it's going to be next Subriel Matias versus Regis Prograis. And I think there's going to be Paro versus Jack Catterall. And for Gervonta Davis, he said that he's willing to fight anybody. We already heard Bob Arum. Yeah, I spoke to PBC and Carl Moretti. I spoke to, PBC. They do great business. They're great professional. We're great professional. We're talking about November. And I think that would be a good fight there. I think it could be possible. Lomachenko would be very excited about the fight. And Tank Davis is a box office superstar, and I think he'll be ready this time to fight Lomachenko. We wanted to get the fight done before years ago, and Floyd Mayweather publicly did say that that he was not ready for the fight, but I think the fight would be made now. But anyway, even if Gervonta Davis do fight Vasily Lomachenko, that's not the same Vasily Lomachenko that Teofimo Lopez did beat. It's not the pound for pound 1, 2, 3. You can flip it around. But Vasily Lomachenko was coming out with a great victory versus George Kambosos, in which again Teofimo Lopez lost a split decision, and Devin Haney could get him out of there in 24 rounds. And Lomachenko stopped George Kambosos. Even though that I believe that Maxie Hughes did beat George Kambosos, and it should have been Vasily Lomachenko versus Maxie Hughes. Too bad for Maxie Hughes. Maxie Hughes lost to Jose Cepeda. Not Jose Cepeda. William Cepeda. But shout out to Maxie Hughes as well. I think at this point, if Shakur Stevenson is going to be fighting in July, it's going to be his last. He's going to be a free agent after the fight in July 6th, I believe, Newark, New Jersey. I think that why not give this fight? Why not get the Shakur Stevenson? Shakur Stevenson is a 3-division world champion. And I know a lot of people didn't like his performance versus Eduardo Dos Santos, but let's be real as boxing fans, folks. Let's be real. He's wrong. He's Stevenson. He's wrong. Okay, all right, okay. But he still became a 3-division world champion by the age of 25. And also, you got to be fair. Let's give the benefit of the doubt where it needs to be. Because 4 fights prior to that, Shakur Stevenson was implementing some power. He displayed his power versus Yoshino. He displayed his power versus Oscar Valdez and Jamel Herring, in which he went back-to-back. And let's not forget that Oscar Valdez around that time they put him on the pound-for-pound list, number 10, incredible pound-for-pound list. Let's not forget that there was a beautiful victory by Oscar Valdez versus Miguel Burchell. And I know a lot of people feel like he did lose to Conceicao, but guess what? Shakur Stevenson beat Conceicao easy. So, all right, he didn't look good versus Eduardo Dos Santos, but that doesn't mean we gotta let's analyze things right. Let's put things into perspective. Let's give the benefit of the doubt where it needs to be. You don't gotta be a fan of Shakur Stevenson. You don't gotta be, or you're a fan of Shakur Stevenson. You're a fan of boxing. Just be a fan of yourself when you're assessing fights and breaking down the fights. Let's be real. Let's be honest. I give the benefit of the doubt that Shakur Stevenson was not healthy. Right? Is it an excuse? Shouldn't be an excuse because you step inside a ring. But let's not be dumb at the same time and try to ignore and try to be naive about it. Shakur Stevenson, I think, is the best opposition for Gervonta Davis. I believe if it goes 12, if Shakur Stevenson could take it to 12, then in that fight, I have to think, maybe Shakur Stevenson outpointed him. I believe that Shakur Stevenson has the ability, the skill set, trains with one of the best, Bud Crawford, daily basis. one of the great minds in that ring. Regardless how you may feel about his last performance, you guys are taking everything that Shakur Stevenson has done for that one last performance. They asked Gervonta Davis in the post-fight interview if he will fight Shakur Stevenson. And if you think that he's going to be running, I didn't think that Frank Martin's going to be running like that, Eve, but maybe what people want to see from Shakur Stevenson, this is what I'm talking about, the difference between Tank and a guy like Teo. Teo and Tank could box and they could fight. Fans identify that. Shakur Stevenson, when it's time to fight, skip it and do that, skip me day. Oh my, what a wonderful day. He got his track shoes, and the fans don't like that in boxing. You skill enough to stand in the pocket. You skill enough. That's what the fans don't like. The fans don't like runners. The fans don't like. But again, you see the hypocrisy. They don't like Shakur Stevenson running, but they okay with Jermaine Ortiz running from Teofimo Lopez. You see the hypocrisy? No, I think that Jermaine Ortiz ran. No, I thought that this is the reason why y'all don't like Shakur Stevenson, because he was running like Jermaine Ortiz was running from Teofimo Lopez, but because you hate Teofimo Lopez, you give Jermaine Ortiz running the benefit of the doubt, but you don't give Shakur Stevenson the benefit of the doubt from running from Edo de los Santos. You see? That's what I'm talking about, the hypocrisy in the sport of boxing. You see that, folks? You see that? You see how I caught him? Punch on boxing be catching y'all motherfucker. You's a liar. But yeah, man, I think that the legacy fight again for Tank is Teo. The legacy fight. He already got legacy on Teofimo Lopez, but I think that it put everything in perspective. I think Tank, if he fights Teo and beats Teo, I think the frustration of him not going for legacy reigning supreme and this make believe of 3 division world champion, I think will go to rest. And then Teofimo Lopez, I believe that he deserves his accomplishment, deserves that payday, that event. I think both guys need each other. Floyd Mayweather said less than a year ago, that the fight that he wants to see, the biggest fight for Gervonta Davis, is Teofimo Lopez. See, before, Floyd didn't want to say that. But now that he don't have to protect Tank, now he's being real and being honest. That the guy that they see, that if he comes 100%, is Teo. Because great minds see. First, look, I'm going to tell you like this. Oscar de la Hoya told me personally that the best fighter right now is Teofimo Lopez in 140. Bernard Hopkins, after the Vasily Lomachenko fight, said that nobody can beat Teo but Teo. Floyd Mayweather said the biggest fight for Tank is Teo. See, the thing is, they don't work with Teo, but they know Teo. They know. They seen his IQ versus Vasily Lomachenko. They seen his IQ versus Josh Taylor. They see how he works when he's the underdog. If anybody has humbled anybody the most in the recent years in boxing, that humbles pundits, independent media, YouTubers, and stuff like that, has been Teofimo Lopez. That's why he gets the credit. I said a long time ago that the fighters that get the most credit in the sport of boxing is the people that match and exceeds their expectations. Because the boxing fans were so spoiled with the history of the sport of boxing. Because boxing is one of those sports that is highly documented. We know so much. We know a lot about the sport of boxing. We've seen the great fights already. It's hard. It's hard. And it's unfortunate to the boxers right now, but it's hard for the boxing fans to be wowed. Because we seen the first round of Hagler and Hearns. We seen the battle between Frazier and Ali for 15 rounds. We seen the Julio Cesar Chavez versus the Oscar de la Hoya. We seen the Oscar de la Hoya versus Trinidad. We seen the Akote Oscar de la Hoya. We seen the Ali Sonny Listons. We even could see the fight that Sandy Sandler had with Willie Pep. We seen these great fights. We seen the Riddick Bowe and the Evander Holyfields. We seen the Roberto Duran versus Sugar Ray Leonard, the first one. We seen the Hagler. We seen the Leonard. We seen the Hector Camachos. We seen the Miguel Cottos. We seen the Floyds. We seen the James Toney versus Floyd Jones. We seen Former coming back. We seen Manny Pacquiao, A Division World Champion. We're seeing Wilfred Benitez winning the belt, the youngest champion to ever live at the age of 17. We seen greatness. We seen Mike Tyson, baby, the baddest man of the planet, baby. We seen a lot. And it's hard for us to wow us. But this is the reason. And I don't give a damn if you don't like hearing it. This is the reason why boxing needs a young, hungry lion like Teofimo Lopez. Because it's Teofimo Lopez who wants it. It's Teofimo Lopez that wants to keep the morals of the boxing sport alive. Shout out to Bam Rodriguez and Francisco and Estrada going to be fighting the same day. Big fight, legacy fight. Shout out to Bam Rodriguez. Love what he's doing as well. One of those fighters of today that legacy reigning supreme. But Teo did that Gervonta Davis dirty work. Teo was the one that started the trend that wants about undisputed, even though the politics got in the way of it. But we understand that. Teofimo Lopez is the only one that's really actually calling out Bud Crawford and got the accomplishments to do so. And ladies and gentlemen, whether you like it or not, whether you like it to call out or not, Teofimo Lopez is the most accomplished fighter in Bud Crawford's resume. You can't even debate that. You can't argue it. You cannot come back to me and tell me no punch, you talking BS, because it is what it is. I'm not here if you're going to win or going to lose. I'm a fight fan. Fight fans don't lose. Even if our favorite fighters lose, but he fights the best and the fight that we want them to fight, I don't lose. We don't lose. We acting like when the fighters lose, we lose. We acting like when the fighters win, we win. The only thing that we got is a bunch of bragging rights. That's nothing. Every fan base gets humbled once upon a time. Unless if you're a fan base of Floyd Mayweather and never lost, you never get humbled. But 99% of the fan base, they all get humbled. I'm a Mike Tyson fan. I'm still to this day still saying that no. Buster Douglas, now the referee was counting too slow. I was shocked when Antonio Tarver knocked out my favorite fighter, Roy Jones Jr. I still don't like that. I don't even like Antonio Tarver to this day because of that. I can't even stand him. I understand. Gervonta Davis is given what boxing needs in terms of attraction. Teofimo Lopez is given what boxing needs in keeping the morals of the sport alive. These two need to collide. ASAP. I would like to see in between fights. You got to take care of Steve Claggett to bring to captivate the imagination and the emotions of the boxing fans. This is the chance for Teofimo Lopez, June 29th. He got to look spectacular. He cannot afford to perform to the level of his competition. He cannot afford it, bro. If he goes a whole 10 or 12 with Steve Claggett, and shout out to Steve Claggett, he's a warrior, it's going to be just as good as a loss. Not going to move the needle at all. Got to be pressure. That's what it is. We love momentum. You got to outperform this guy. And I'm going to tell you right now, after this performance, June 29th, people are going to be screaming Tank versus Teo. Got to do a spectacular fashion. In between of those fights, I would like a Teo versus Ryan and Tank versus Shakur and winner fights each other. That's what boxing needs in this young generation. In terms of David Benavidez, I believe that he should fight I don't know if he's going to be moving down to the 168 pound. I don't want him to move that. Carve your own legacy at 160, at 175. Don't be running because you felt that nobody felt your power. If David Benavidez moves down, I'm be like, yeah. He didn't like that 175 work. I don't want to hear, I can make 160. No, you cannot make 168. All right? That's weight bullying. We already saw where you need to be. 175. Stay there. See the winner of the Bivol and Beterbiev. If Canelo Alvarez want to move up and get you or want to cash in the cash or whatever, only if the Canelo Alvarez fight is there. But if I was Canelo Alvarez, I'll get David Benavidez now, probably in August. I make him not eat at all. No. You think you about to eat? Nah, I want you in August. Get prepared, get back inside the gym. David Benavidez, damn, I ain't even going to go to thing. Man, I can't even eat all this food. Damn, man, I got to stay in shape. I got to stay suffering. But boxing is good. Boxing is great. Again, the light heavyweight division, I believe the primary fight will be Ben Whitaker versus David Benavidez. I think that the biggest fight in the sport of boxing, especially in this side of the pond, will be Teo versus Tank. But I also think that Tank versus Shakur will be the biggest fight in the 135-pound division. I think that in the 140-pound division, if Teofimo Lopez, nobody want to fight him in the 140-pound division. If he moves up, he could fight Brian Norman Jr. out there and become a 3-division world champion, a respectable name. They both are top ranked. That would be good. Or Mario Barrios, that would be good. I think that'll sell. Because Mario Barrios already headlined a couple of pay-per-views with Keith and Tom Thurman, with Gervonta Davis. I would have liked to see Matias versus Pitbull Cruz. I think that still be a good fight. Can't write off Matias yet. You know what I'm saying? I just don't think he's gonna be this type of superstar like people think for Puerto Rico. No, but I think he'll still be a good. I think he'll still be like a Jose Cepeda, right? You know what I'm saying? I think he'll be like a Jose Cepeda. I think Matias versus Jose Ramirez will be entertaining as well. But ladies and gentlemen, y'all already know, man, there's another podcast, subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to the channel. Support the movement. Punch Drunk Boxing. Shout out to all the modern day warriors, modern day gladiators, the one that put their life on the line for pure entertainment. Love y'all. God bless. And on to the next.